Not insensitive to your plight, but things just don't seem right. You hurt me beyond belief, and I can't get no relief. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Think I'll run for public office and try to make a change. Live up on your special interests, make a fortune in the stock exchange. Yeah, yeah, yeah. G-Man, he gon' come and get me, 'cause I sing about what they do. Guess I'll be a good and loyal trustee. They gon' lock me up before I'm through. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Think I'll run for public.
Today's show is sponsored by Farmer Joe's Fresh Market, located at 1401 Southwest Pine Island Road in beautiful Cape Coral, Florida. This week, Farmer Joe's has ahi tuna, $7.99 a pound. Boneless, skinless chicken breast, only $2.99 a pound. Has avocados, 99 cents each. Just in time for the fall season, Farmer Joe's has pie pumpkins, $2.99 each. Everything you need and more, Lee County's greatest grocery store, Farmer Joe's Fresh Market. We want to give a shout out to International Marble. All your custom marble dreams will come true if International Marble does the job for you. You can give them a call at 239-878-2200. That's 239-878-2200. Joining us, veteran political commentator, attorney, businessman, author, and documentarian, Mr. Ford O'Connell is with us. You can find Ford at FordO'Connell.com, Ford O'Connell on X, and most reputable news sources in this show. Also, special guest today, Daniel Ludlow from Cape Coral will enlighten us on what has happened in his path to seek city council coming during our local commentary. Welcome to Cracker Culture. I am Smokin Joe. Please like, share, and subscribe. We want to express that comments made by guests are not necessarily the view of the Cracker Culture podcast, and we hope that you make your own conclusion. First, I want to say that everyone from Smokin Joe Nation wants to express our deepest concern for all that were affected by Hurricane Helen. While this situation is still developing, questions and suspicions are starting to mount. Ford, those of us who live in Florida have considerable experience in living through hurricanes. The folks in Georgia, Eastern Tennessee, and Western North Carolina have not. Many of those locations are totally devastated beyond rejuvenation. Ford, what is your take on this? I mean, will they ever bounce back? I mean, Chimney Rock is gone.
Well, look, we are lucky in the state of Florida that we have had Rick Scott and Ron DeSantis who've really developed the playbook for hurricane recovery. Unfortunately, the areas that got hit under Hurricane Helene, they've never seen anything. To put this in perspective, what happened to Western North Carolina, like with 50-mile-an-hour winds, would be like a 200-mile-an-hour wind hitting the panhandle of Florida. They were just completely unprepared. And frankly, what we're hearing right now is that the federal response has been largely underwhelming. Look, millions of people have lost power. Tens of thousands of people have lost everything. Look, our prayers go out to them. But this cannot stand, because I'm sure somewhere in Georgia, North Carolina, they're wondering whether or not they've been forgotten about.
Well, I agree. And, you know, my entire family originated in that area, Eastern Tennessee, Western North Carolina, and so I checked on all my family, and everybody that I was in touch with, they seem to be doing okay, and they're surviving this. But many people have alleged this was an act of weather warfare by our government enacted upon our own citizens. Many conspiracies have said that this was not an act of nature, but made claims that there was a directed by NEXRAD, Next Generational Weather Radar. And I want to show you a video here, Ford, and you tell me after we get through.
Was Hurricane Helene's path and behavior just the result of natural processes and climate patterns, or was it manipulated? The circular blue flashes seen in this video are frequency transmissions from the NEXRAD network of transmitter installations. All available science evidence makes clear that atmospheric frequency transmissions can and do have a repelling effect on air masses, especially if and when the air masses have been seeded with electrically conductive nanoparticles. The brighter the blue flash from a frequency transmission installation, the more pronounced and powerful the repelling effect on any air mass or storm in the vicinity will be. Where there are no blue flashes, there is no transmission, thus no repelling effect, thus no resistance for a migrating storm. Translation: a migrating storm will be hindered from moving toward frequency transmissions and will easily migrate in a direction with no transmissions. So again, I ask, was Hurricane Helene's path and behavior just an act of nature, or was it engineered?
Lord, I mean, you know, that's pretty powerful. And I know when the hurricane was going down, a local guy in LaBelle put out, he said, these NEXRADs are, they're peaking full capacity. He said, human beings should not be exposed to that much radiation. You know, do you believe that this is a land grab? Because there's a lot of lithium mines, especially in Gaston County, North Carolina, and the quartz mines up in Spruce Pine are essential to the semiconductor manufacturer. Piedmont Lithium signed sales agreements with Tesla years back. Could it be that this wasn't an act of God?
Look, I don't know, but here's what I do know. I went to school in North Carolina. I spent a lot of time in North Carolina like you have as well. Traditionally, when hurricanes hit North Carolina, they hit eastern North Carolina, the Outer Banks, along the Atlantic seaboard. This darn thing boomeranged into western North Carolina, and frankly, we haven't seen anything like it. And that's why this is essentially the second most deadly storm in American history in the last 50 years. I think we're going to be studying this for a very long time to figure out how all of a sudden hurricanes traditionally go up the eastern seaboard, but in this case, it's sort of boomerang to western North Carolina and eastern Tennessee.
Well, I hope that we get some type of information, and I hope that the government will stand up. Like I said, it's hard to hear that we're sending money to Ukraine, and then Kamala Harris and Joe Biden want to give the victims of the hurricane $750. They didn't lose a microwave. What are they going to get with $750? They lost their house, their cars. It's a drop in the bucket. Well, look at the migrants. How much are they giving the migrants versus what these American citizens who are struggling and are devastated? Look, it's just incomprehensible.
It's outrageous. And according to the New York Post, apparently right now FEMA is out of funds because they've been using it, to your point, to relocate illegal migrants. And, you know, that's another situation where the Harris-Biden administration is putting Americans last and putting the rest of the world first. I'm going to say this. If this hurricane recovery continues to underwhelm, okay, particularly in the states of Georgia and North Carolina, it could very well cost Kamala Harris the election, because essentially in those two states, we're talking about the winner getting tens of thousands of votes. So if all those folks in Western North Carolina are really hacked off, North Carolina's going to go for Donald Trump.
Well, I agree. And there was, like I said, I know that up and toward you get to Asheville, there's a good section of that is Democratic. But it was really Republican plus 13 pretty much in that area if you really go by the polls.
Yeah, look, outside of Asheville, Western North Carolina is a Republican stronghold. You know, the other thing is, let's talk about Georgia for 1 second. With that hitting Georgia around the metro Atlanta area, those are Democratic strongholds. So if Kamala Harris doesn't get all those voters out in that's 5-6 counties around Atlanta, she's going to lose Georgia as well, which is good for Donald Trump, because his best path to the presidency, or to reassuming the presidency, is by winning North Carolina, Georgia, and Pennsylvania.
Well, you know, this has a lot of effect on our economy. A lot of people don't realize. And, you know, I wanted to talk about the port strike, but the port strike was suspended and plans to revisit in January. A lot of people don't understand about the ports. Now, we have U.S. ports. That's different than American ports, and a lot of people don't know this. And I know this because once something happens like this, I'm resourcing for American ports so I can get goods in. And, you know, so I don't think people really realize the damning effect of this storm and the potential of a strike that it's having on our economy, on our petrol, and things like that, Ford.
You're absolutely right. Look, those ports, the International Longshoremen Association, that's who gets our goods to market at the end of the day off the ships. And you're talking about 30 plus ports ranging from Maine to Texas. And really, we're only prepared to withstand a strike for no more than a week. Had this strike gone longer than a week, there'd be a lot of shelves that are empty of a lot of different products, and people would have a hard time just doing the day-to-day, and it would have essentially made sort of those COVID supply chain situation look like child's play. I mean, this is a very big thing, and this is why the international longshoremen basically have the American public by the long and curly, shall I say.
I agree. Well, I want to talk about the vice presidential debate. I mean, forward from the very first set of this, Walls made a comment, and I'm like, okay. And then the moderator was set up, equipped for that comment. I mean, the full facts. I mean, is she chat GPT and this as he speaks? I mean, how do they get that set on an obscure comment?
Well, look, each set of moderators has been worse than the previous set. We didn't think anyone could be worse than CNN. Then we managed to get ABC. Now we got CBS. I mean, O'Donnell and Brennan were downright terrible, but J.D. Vance kept his cool through it all. It was 3-on-1, and he really turned in one of the best vice presidential debate performances on record. I can't say the same about the Democratic VP nominee, Tim Walz, who looked nervous like a deer in headlights. I've never actually, Joe, seen someone perfect the facial expression of sheer terror coupled with bewilderment for 90 minutes. You want to talk about what was weird? What was weird was Tim Walz's face for 90 minutes during that debate, because people left that debate going, forget VP, forget can this guy sit in the Oval Office? How the heck did he ever become a governor in the first place? Because he's a buffoon.
Well, let me play this little highlight clip I got here of J.D. Vance talking to.
You say trust the experts. But those same experts for 40 years said that if we shipped our manufacturing base off to China, we'd get cheaper goods. They lied about that. They said if we shipped our industrial base off to other countries, to Mexico and elsewhere, it would make the middle class stronger. They were wrong about that. This has to stop, and we're not going to stop it by listening to experts. We don't want to blame immigrants for higher housing prices, but we do want to blame Kamala Harris for letting in millions of illegal aliens into this country, which does drive up costs, Tim. 25 million illegal aliens competing with Americans for scarce homes. Now, Governor Walz brought up the community of Springfield, and he's very worried about the things that I've said in Springfield. Look, in Springfield, Ohio, and in communities all across this country, you've got schools that are overwhelmed. You've got hospitals that are overwhelmed. You have got housing that is totally unaffordable because we brought in millions of illegal immigrants to compete with Americans for scarce homes.
Just to clarify for our viewers, Springfield, Ohio does have a large number of Haitian migrants who have legal status, temporary protected status.
Well, Margaret, but
thank you, Senator. We have so much to get to.
Margaret, I think it's important because
we're going to turn out of the economy. Thank you,
Margaret. The rules were that you guys weren't going to fact check, and since you're fact checking me, I think it's important to say what's actually going on. So there's an application called the CBP One app, where you can go on as an illegal migrant, apply for asylum or apply for parole, and be granted legal status at the wave of a Kamala Harris open border wand. That is not a person coming in, applying for a green card and waiting for 10 years. That is the facilitation of illegal immigration, Margaret, by our own leadership.
Thank you, Senator, for describing the legal process. We have so much to get to, Senator.
Those laws have been on the books since 1990.
Thank you, gentlemen.
The CBP One app has not been on the books since 1990. It's something that Kamala Harris created, Margaret.
Gentlemen, the audience can't hear you because your mics are cut.
They cut the mics because J.D. Vance just schooled them. I mean, it was incredible to see him when they fact-checked it.
Well, yeah, he absolutely schooled them, and the moderators were idiots who were trying to basically force the debate and put their thumb on the scale in Tim Walz's favor. I mean, they didn't even know what they were talking about. And the worst part is they're talking about climate change is the number 2 question in the debate, and illegal immigration and the border security is a top 2 issue, and they shortchanged the entire electorate. This was about helping Tim Walz, not actually informing the American public. And what J.D. Vance did, which was fantastic, is he showed Walz and Harris to be all slogans and zero substance. I mean, he wiped the floor with Tim Walz. And I'm going to tell you something. Going into that debate, everyone said, gee, J.D. Vance was a bad pick by Donald Trump. After that debate, let me tell you something. Anyone who says J.D. Vance was a bad pick by Donald Trump is a fool.
Well, I want to talk to you about something that I heard you bring up on another show, and you unbelievably said the Arabs are shifting their support in favor of Donald Trump. Tell us, Ford, I mean, are you telling me that all these people up in was it Michigan and all them are going to vote Trump instead of Harris?
Well, it's certainly a good sign. According to the latest poll from the Arab American Institute, Arab Americans support Donald Trump by 4 points over Kamala Harris. This is a historic moment for one simple reason. Traditionally, Arab Americans go by a 2-to-1 margin for the Democratic candidate. Now, what does this mean in these sort of 6 to 7 states? Well, to your point, Michigan has 200,000 Arab Americans. If Donald Trump wins a majority of the Arab Americans who vote, he'll be the 47th president of the United States. But you also have 100,000 Arab Americans in Georgia. So my point is, if this poll is anywhere close to the truth, keep an eye on this, because it might be Arab Americans who put Donald Trump back in the White House. And the reason is simple. They're not happy with how Harris and Biden have handled the war in the Middle East. And even though Donald Trump is very supportive of Israel, they seem to believe that Donald Trump will bring an end to the conflict a lot faster than a President Kamala Harris would.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see. And like I said, I would have never believed that the Arabic community would lead its support toward Trump. I'm glad they have. I mean, but with everything that's going on economically and on a national level, we need the support of anybody that can see how bad we've been struggling under a Biden-Harris administration.
I think that's absolutely right. This is the affordability election. We're not just talking about affordability of groceries, affordability of gasoline, affordability of homes. It's affordability of everything. Now, I will say there is one caveat to this poll, and that is if Kamala Harris were to demand an immediate ceasefire, 54% of Arab Americans would support her, but that is still well short of the 2/3 of Arab Americans that traditionally have supported a Democratic presidential nominee over the last decade. So this is very well could be a watershed moment and something that most people don't typically think about.
Well, Ford, it's time for us to switch over to our local coverage. It's time for everybody to
Man's trash.
Talk about the man's trash. I want to welcome to the show Daniel Ludlow, who is a candidate for Cape Coral City Council District 3. Danny, welcome to the show. How you doing, my friend?
Doing good. Thanks, Joe. How are you?
Good, good. Now, Danny, I want to begin. At first, you were the establishment choice for C3 in Cape Coral. And you seem to lose favor before the primary. You want to tell us a little bit about what happened here?
Gina Lombardo's what happened. The state
Mike G. Lombardo.
Yeah, Mike Gino Lombardo. I had a run-in with his mother. I didn't know it was. Well, I knew at the time. I went on the 25th, or was it? I wrote it down. The 21st of June, I went to the dry cleaners. Met his mom. His mom goes, "I know who you are. You're Doris Cortez and Kim Koza's friend. You're running, blah, blah, blah." Okay, fine. The 25th, I go to pick it up. Now I'm supposed to get a 20% discount for being a first-time person there. So I go to pick up my dry cleaning, and Gina Lombardo's mom's there, and she reads off the proper price, and then when I hand her my card, she reads off the inflated price without the discount. I go, "What are you doing? Wait a minute, that's not the price that it's supposed to be." And she said, "Well, that's what the computer said." And she moved on to the next person. And I was like, "Wait a minute, what are you doing? It's $25 more. What's going on?" And she just ignored me like I wasn't there. So I went to the other two ladies. So they basically tried to straighten it out. The text message I got from the owner of the dry cleaner stated that, "I'm sorry that the girls," in plural, screwed up. I said, "It wasn't the girls that screwed up. It was the Asian lady." Because I didn't know her name. I knew that she was Gina Lombardo's mom. I didn't know her name, though. And he apologized. So the 26th, we had the Hometown Brotherhood meet and greet. And Kim Koza walks in and says, "How's your dry cleaning?" And I said, "Damn, you heard about that already?" And she goes, "Yeah, you better go apologize." I said, "For what?" And it got blown out of proportion. The 26th, that Friday, I called Mike Gino Lombardo's office to explain to him what happened. I had a buddy of mine say, "He's military, you're military. Man-to-man, talk with him because this could get blown out of proportion." He never called back, not once. And I saw him several times after that. He didn't shake my hand. He didn't acknowledge me. He just acted like I was just dirt beneath his toes. So Later, fast forward another month, I'm being told to apologize. And I'm like, I didn't do anything wrong. And they said, well, you yelled at her. And I said, if I yelled at her, I will apologize for that. And that's what I did. I drove over. I got a nice little wall art hanging there with a burrowing owl. I got the girls in the office, the other two girls' surfboards. And I went and I apologized. That's it right there. I went and I apologized to her. And I said, I'm not apologizing for you overcharging me. I'm apologizing for raising my voice to my elders. I'm sorry. My parents would be disappointed in me. So that was not good enough, apparently. So when it all came out, Mike refused to endorse me. So Doris Cortez behind my back, I'm not hearing from them for days. For days, I don't hear from them. And something's wrong. So finally on a Sunday, I texted and said, what is going on? Or I called her. She wouldn't answer the phone. She texted me, we dropped her endorsement. So we just dropped my endorsement for her. I said, I apologize. Because that was the whole inch thing, was me apologizing to Gina Lombardo's mom. And he would endorse, well, he turned around and endorsed Danelle. So I don't think he ever planned on endorsing me, but either way, I lost the establishment's endorsement because they were under the assumption that Gina Lombardo was going to endorse me instead of Danelle, who they did not want. I mean, he worked on Obama's campaign, so obviously you can check Republican all you want, but if you're at the White House supporting Obama, you damn sure aren't a Republican. So everybody got screwed in the whole deal.
Well, let me ask you, when you said we showed the picture of the burrowing owl, that's not the story that surfaced. First, they said that you made racist comments and that you had called Mike Lombardo's mother a defamatory word for Asians. And, and then they said that you sent her a Buddha and a bonsai tree. That's not what happened, correct?
Not at all. Listen. If that's what had happened, the woman wouldn't have stepped outside to meet me in the alley so that I could apologize to her. And her biggest complaint wasn't even the fact I raised my voice. It was the fact that I was interrupting her from helping other clients because she'd already moved on from me. She didn't care. My credit card cleared. She had moved on. And if that was true, ask the other two girls at the dry cleaners what I said that day, because there's no defamation. And I know you're thinking, I don't know if I can say it, but I never said that.
You can say it, sure.
I never called her a gook. That is so freaking racist and wrong. I wouldn't. That thought never even crossed my mind. And then I realized when I heard that, I was like, well, how freaked up politics really are, because people are so bored with their lives that they're throwing the new guy under the bus. Okay, throw me under the bus, but don't put words in my mouth. And she never complained about it. She never said I called her that. So where's all this coming from? And a Buddha and a bonsai tree. That's not even the right race, right? Isn't she Vietnamese and Buddha is Indian and bonsai?
I think she's Korean. Don't get yourself in more trouble.
Oh, yeah, I know, right? But my whole thing is it got blown out of proportion. I got dropped because Mike wouldn't endorse me. And this was this whole thing. I tried to apologize on the 25th. A week after this happened. No, I'm sorry. 4 days after it happened, I tried to apologize. I called him man to man, and he wouldn't even call me back. And my concern is when you got a state representative taking orders from his mom, who did we elect, him or his mother? Because this whole thing could have been squashed a couple days after the incident, but he didn't have the sack to call me back.
Right.
He'd rather run around and talk crap about me than actually shake my hand and sit down. What kind of a man does that?
Well, it's the same kind of man that puts out a letter like this and is a paper tiger and never follows through with it. Now, I have no respect for Mike Lombardo because he come out waving his sword and done nothing. And me and Ford's discussed this several times about Michael Lombardo.
You almost said Gina Lombardo, didn't you?
No.
So I spoke to a couple of people that are in elected offices, and they all said the same thing. Actually, I spoke to two guys. Let's not make it that big. And they all said that they think he's sketchy and that he's part woman with their words. I can tell you who said it, but I can back it up if I want to get thrown under the bus again, because I have no problem showing the receipts. Because everything I say, I'm the guy that no one likes because I don't have a filter. I'll tell you how it is. I'd rather a hard truth than an easy lie. The man ran for me instead of shaking my hand. It could have been man to man or military to military, however he wants to rob that train, Jesse. But we got blown out of proportion. If he never planned on endorsing me, he should have said that. Then his excuse, because they went with Bruni, and his excuse was Danelle coached him in football.
Let me ask you this. there's been a lot of speculation. I've heard a lot of rumors. Do you know anything? I kind of feel bad. Doris Cortez, who many have called her the godmother of the Republicans in Lee County. I've heard some situations that the party is not favoring her too well. What can you tell us on that?
I'm not going to say his name as I promised you because I said I would, but I don't want to throw him under the bus. But I was told by several people, okay, and the one guy that I won't say, he supports the CLC, the Leadership Caucus, that they're just letting her think she's in charge, showing her respect because of her age, and they're just letting her kind of just drift away. Here's one thing, though. I did not know. You wonder why the Democrats are kicking her ass. I'll tell you that real quick. Democrats are kicking her ass because no matter whether they like it or not, they all march in one step. I was unaware Republicans are not like that. We got 3 different factions of the Republican Party here, and they're wondering why we're getting our asses kicked by the freaking Democrats. We argued for 2 hours over the word standard and meeting. Literally, I was called a fascist, a Nazi, just for sitting there. So we can't get our shit together. How the hell are we supposed to beat the Democrats? And Doris Cortez, the word he's looking for is kingmaker. And I was proud to work with her until I saw the underhanded crap that the politicians and she's capable of doing. And I was told just to relax. My time will come and she'll be out. They're just showing her the respect because of who she used to be. Those were their words. And I will say his name if they try to call me out on it, but they won't because they don't want her to know what was told to me.
Right. Well, you also, when we're talking about this, you told me that they had printed the palm cards up and you were supposed to be on the palm cards and you weren't there. What happened then?
Well, what they did was, goes back to, she told me I told you Sunday I wasn't hearing from them. And this is another lie. Sunday I didn't hear from them. I called, no answer, got a text, I was out. Okay. So then I hear on Monday, I get a phone call from Craig Unruh, who was running for 2. He goes, dude, you're not even on their slate card. I said, what are you talking about? Doris told me they voted Thursday at the Trump Club to get rid of me, which I wasn't endorsed by the Trump Club. I was endorsed by the CLC. So somehow the Trump Club unendorsed me, which I don't understand that. And that's a shit show too. They unendorsed me through the Trump show on Thursday. How did they get 20,000 freaking palm cards, slate cards printed up from Thursday to Monday with Chad Bruning's name on it? He's the one that should be pissed off because once Gina Lombardo, once he endorsed Donnell, I went and apologized to Doris for him hurting her feelings, and they told me get stickers and put it over Bruning's face because we never wanted him to begin with.
So you put stickers over his face?
I did. In fact, I probably still have one of the cards to show you. Of course I did. He's been here for a year or 2. He just registered as a Republican in March. The guy's not a Republican. The guy just wanted to sit behind Gunther and do their development schemes.
Well, in Southwest Florida, let's just be honest, a lot of people who claim conservative Republican are not. And it's very apparent with this superintendent school board race. Denise Carlin is not a conservative. Denise Carlin is not a Republican, but yet she's claiming it, and the Republicans are all backing her, and it's unbelievable.
Let me ask you a question. You ever heard of a Republican switching to the Democrat side?
They do it all the time. Sam Fisher, how many? No, not Republicans.
Exactly. But the Democrats, we're dumb enough to let these people in our group to be inclusive or whatever. And then you've got freaking spies in our side. Now you've got division amongst the Republican Party, and the Democrats are laughing at us. I've never seen a Republican go to the Democrat side, but I've seen Democrats, and we accept them with open arms like idiots. Like they're going to magically change their views overnight. Come on, man.
Well, I'll tell you, one of the most disgusting Democrats in our area is Cindy Beignet. And Cindy Beignet put out her picks for the election. And I can tell you there's a lot of people on there like Denise Carlin and people like that. They're voting for it. Now, wait a minute. Denise Carlin, the Democrats are voting for Denise Carlin. Does it make sense to me why we have so many Democrats voting for Republicans that
we need to make our club a little more inclusive because the Democrats, I know they wouldn't take me if I decided that I wanted all the stuff that the Democrats are doing. They would take one look at me and say, nah, we don't need you. But yet the Republicans were I don't know. We don't need them. If you drive around North Fort Myers, you'll see Waltz Harris signs all over the place. I got them in my neighborhood. When did Florida? We're going to turn blue. We're going to turn blue, and it's our own damn fault because you got sneakers coming in here all the time.
He's got a great point. There's a lot of infiltrators, whether it's Lee County, Collier County, Charlotte County. They know what they're doing. They do a lot more with less. And unfortunately, we're becoming, a captive of our own success in Southwest Florida. And we assume that everyone wants to join our side because we are the dominant group. And unfortunately, all we're doing is undermining ourselves.
Oh, I totally agree. Danny, what's up next for you? You got any?
I got beat on the 20th of August, 6:30 that morning. I got phone calls from some influential people that helped me with the race because when I got fired, I didn't get fired by just the establishment. Michelle Shadrack canned me because she couldn't control me. Kim Coe's a part of the establishment, stopped calling me, and I did better without them because I was off my leash. So people saw what I was doing because I wasn't holding back. I'm not that guy. I'm not going to tell you that the sun's beautiful when it's hot and muggy outside. Screw the sun, But that's how I am. And I got a phone call at 6:30. They didn't even wait till the sting wore off, and they want to start promoting me to run for mayor in February.
So are you thinking about doing that?
Absolutely. Why not?
So you're going to challenge? Yeah. Well, you're going to challenge Gunther.
I don't know if Gunther's called challenging Gunther. I applaud Gunther's attempt at bringing Cape Coral forward. He just did it too quick, and everyone thought he was doing something. Everyone thought he was crooked. Whether he's crooked or not, I have no idea. I just know that the stipend vote secured everyone's insecurities the way they did it, that he is crooked. Whether he is or not, I don't know. The man's got a good vision as far as bringing us forward and moving along. He just did it too fast, too quick, and they look shady for it. So, yeah, I don't think a lot of people are going to vote for him. So I would hope it'd be for me, but from what I'm told, the field's going to be pretty big. There's a lot. It's going to look like Trump going for the presidency in 2016. There's a lot of people that want his seat. So if he thinks it's just me coming for him, he's crazy because there's a lot of people that want to see him gone. And I wouldn't say it's for all the right reasons. I think what he did was good. He should have taken his time to do it. He should have been more transparent, and he should not have allowed that stipend vote to go through because that just secured people's insecurities on him being crooked. Is he crooked? I don't know. I doubt it. I just think the fact that the man, he moved too many projects too fast, and he didn't tell people what he was doing. To this day, we don't know what he's doing. So
Dan makes a good point here, Joe. If you want to take down a member of the Cabal, you got to have a multi-candidate race. And if enough candidates get in there, he's absolutely right. Chances are Gunther won't keep the seat.
However, Gunther's already, from what I'm told, this is all rumor, but I'm still in the rumor mill. People still want to call me like I care right now, but they still do. He's already picked a successor because he knows he's not going to win. I mean, people were voting for the female candidates in the primaries, and there are two reasons were, number one, and this is coming from the female voters. Number one, they said that they felt as if more women were in charge, we wouldn't have world wars. And I explained to them that councilmen didn't come with nuclear triggers. But number two, they were told that the incumbents had to be voted out. And they were under the assumption all the incumbents were male. So that's why Lehman moved forward, McCormick moved forward, Kaduk moved forward because Kaduk's awesome. That Mike, I love Mike, but Mike, he just didn't bring it the way he should have. But so women voted for that. So as soon as Gunther saw the field, he pumped up. I mean, all of a sudden we went from naming J.C. Park got just slammed. Right after, did you notice that everything, the pedal went to the metal as soon as that primary went through? Gunther is comfortable with his council regardless of how it falls. Because Danelle or McCormick are going to say yes. Lehman's going to be a headache for him, but, Dan Shepard's going to get in and he'll say yes. Kilrain's going to be a huge pain in the ass, but that's two out of the rest. Kaduk, she wants her arts and her I-75 conductor, and she's young, and she feels like we need to move forward also. But I noticed as soon as the primary was over, Gunther put the pedal down. Wanted to rename the park to Roger Dean Park. I'll bet you $1 to a dog's ass that park gets a bar after it was promised not to.
Right. Well, Danny, you've cleared up some things. You've cleared up the rumor mill about what you said about Mike Gilombardo's mother. You've let us know that you are running. You're potentially running for mayor of Cape Coral. Is there anything else you want to share with our viewers, Danny?
No, I really can't think about it. I mean, I just wish the Republican Party would get their shit together the way the Democrats do. We don't agree with the Democrats, but the one thing you can agree on is they're all in it together.
Well, Daniel, I appreciate you for coming on the show. I hope to revisit this at a later date before you're out campaigning for mayor. And I thank you for taking time out of your day to join me for it, Danny.
All right, Joe. I'll talk to you. Forrest, nice to meet you, brother.
Take care, my friend.
See you later.
That was Daniel Ludlow, future candidate for Cape Coral mayor and former candidate for District 3 in Cape Coral. Boy, there's a lot there to unravel, man. That's kind of a, and again, I respect his wishes not to say who told him about Doris. I'm very well aware of it. It's not somebody I'm a fan of. And so out of respect for Danny, I won't say the guy's name, but I can just say we've reported before that he's usually drinking by 10 or 11 a.m. So.
Hey, you got to hear all sides of everything. But I'll say,
I agree.
If there's anything true to what he's saying about Doris Cortez, boy, that's going to reverberate through the community.
Well, it's just proof that the cabal eats their own, man. That's all it is.
They eat their own, and they got to regenerate because it's all about political survival, which is why I always tell you the cabal is nothing more than a bunch of Democrats who just want to have power and take advantage over your life.
Absolutely. Well, I want to get on down to the school board, which I think is pretty interesting. SPALC President Arlise Williams confirmed that the union is at an impasse in bargaining with the school board. Now, SPALC, they handle all the paraprofessionals and the bus drivers and that. And I've been in direct contact with Arlise for some time. And she said that she is staging a protest and is scheduled for October 8th. The district is refusing to negotiate with the support staff and refusing to approve negotiations with the bus drivers and paraprofessionals. This would cost the district $1.7 million for all support staff. The district has $215 million in general funds and $84 million in fund balance, and they're refusing to give them a reasonable raise. Now, one of the things that was brought to my attention, they over budget every year. They over budget, and then they don't take care of these paraprofessionals. Now, if you look up in administrative ends, they all got substantial pay raises. And I remember that they were supposed to revisit this when I was going in there and talking myself. And I'll show you before we get into it. This is a little clip here I want to show you.
The Personnel Association of Lee County, also called SPALC, is meeting here at district headquarters to discuss how much they should be paid. I'm Fox 4's community correspondent Dominga Murray, and as of right now, they say their wage is not livable.
That is crazy. You're giving up your blood to survive? No.
These people work for Lee County schools, many of them telling me they donate blood plasma and find other side jobs to make ends meet.
It's hard just to see and hear some of the stories, of my fellow co-workers sleeping in the cars, having to go back home. It's heart-wrenching. It's just heart-wrenching.
These are the people who do jobs often outside of the classrooms, like custodians and cafeteria workers. Judy Headley is a bookkeeper for an elementary school.
My base pay is for a paycheck. I make like $1,200 and I bring home $943.
I pulled the salaries of all of the support personnel in Lee County. The lowest wage was about $16 and the highest about $30 an hour.
Our option was $10.3 million.
The district did not agree to that amount. According to Arlise Williams, SPALC's president, the district countered with a $7.2 million budget.
I have a second job, as most of us do, but I also went for a year and a half just on my salary until I was eligible for a Social Security check, and it was very, very difficult.
Lee County Schools said in the meeting it's not fair to others in the district to ask the school board for more bargaining funds.
Even though we are the first ones that the children see in the morning, the last one at night, and then we fill in between.
No settlement was reached yet, a conversation ongoing since April.
We have not seen an increase in our pays that can keep up with the inflation. And it's really not fair to us as employees. It's not fair.
Well, I'm not a union man, Ford. I understand that a lot of people are involved with the union, and this is the reason right here. They are abusing these workers, the bus drivers, the paraprofessionals and stuff. This is not fair, and I do applaud these people's efforts to get out and try to protest and let the public know.
Well, look, remember, on top of all of this, okay, you've got Harris-Biden's inflation that has jacked the price of everything up 20% across the board. So let's start with that right there. And here's my other problem, whether it's public education or private education, whether it's at the high school level, the middle school level, the college level, these places keep growing more and more administrators. What the heck is it that the administrators do? And I'm going to tell you something, in Lee County, we have some of the worst public schools in the entire state. More administrators isn't bringing a better education. You should be worried more about the support staff and the teachers than growing that administrative state within Lee County's public schools, because it's not giving us any return on investment.
Right. Yeah, and you know, the academic levels in Lee County are some of the lowest in the state, and it shows. And
it's horrible. It's downright. What is it? $2 billion the budget, and you still turn out this crap.
Yeah, it's just a shame. And and I'm gonna say this. With the current elections coming up in November, you are looking at an all Millerite school board, an all Millerite city council with in Cape Coral, an all Millerite board of county commission in Lee County, with the exception of Cecil.
So
the Millerites taking over.
So basically what you're telling me is you're going to have a whole bunch of elected officials who are going to rob Peter to pay Paul to line their own pockets. That's what's going to happen here.
Absolutely.
So Lee County isn't going to get any stronger with these new candidates. Lee County is just going to be being skimmed from again.
And you know, what do? We have, there is many advocates are out that go to the school board, have been, to the point where some of them get frustrated because it's like they're talking to the wall. These boards, these elected candidates or officials, they do not give a damn what you said once they get in that office and they're getting that paycheck. Until it's time to get reelected, you are nothing.
They tell you what you want to hear, and then they do their own thing that benefits themselves. That's what's so grotesque about this.
I totally agree. And, you know, I hope that moving forward, I've said all along, until we get somebody outside the area to come out and really rattle a sword, they're going to keep doing this to us. And, you know, we just keep taking the beatings, man. I'm tired of the black eye.
Well, look, that's why I keep telling you, if you want to take them down, you've got to have a multi-candidate primary so that Terry Miller can't target one person. You've got to have 3 or 4 candidates who are relatively well-funded. And if that indeed is the case, that's how you're going to beat them at their own game. If not, they're going to continue to win. And most people, you know, come down here and say, oh, they got an R next to their name. They must be working in our benefit. And most of them just aren't. I'm not going to name names, but you know who I don't think they're working for Southwest Florida. Heck, some of them, I don't even think they're even working for Florida.
Well, and I'll tell you something. It just blows my mind. I'm not trying to go away from this subject to talk about it. We talk about the Republican Party, and you know, if you join the REC, you sign a loyalty clause and all this. Now, if you speak out against one of them, and there is a better candidate, far be it. They might be Democrat, they might be a libertarian or whatever. But if you speak out against them, then you get ostracized as being against the party, when the party's really against itself, in my opinion. They keep bringing this shit candidates to us and forcing them on us.
Well, that's exactly right, because it's always just like the Democrats at the national level, always about maintaining power, not what is doing best for the community. And that's exactly why the better candidates don't rise. And because there's no threat, they know if they circle the wagons and stay together, they don't have to work in the voters' benefit. They can just always work in their benefit.
Well, you know, and I brought that up because what about Adam Botana? Adam Botana's brother is a Democrat, full-fledged Democrat, and he is running for mayor of Bonita Springs against Bruce Condon. And Adam's supporting his brother wholeheartedly. Now, is that not a violation of this clause?
I can't speak to that, because I believe that the mayor of Bonita Springs doesn't. That is one of those non-affiliated positions, correct?
But he's still a Democrat.
I understand what you're saying, but if there's no R publicly on the ballot, you see what I'm saying here. You know, it's like we see this in the school board. That's how the Democrats get us to the school board, is because there's no party affiliation in some of these positions. So people get tricked to believing one thing versus the other, because all these candidates just tell you what they want to hear. And instead of what they want to hear, you need to be checking their actions.
Look, if you check the actions of the school board, and it's hard for me to say this, but I'm going to say it, the only person on that school board who is not basically a flipped liberal is Jada. And, you know, you say that's the truth. But look, Sam Fisher, he was a Democrat. Now he's a Republican. I don't even think Armored Persons knows what he is, but he's still up there screaming he's a Republican.
Well, that's because his political party by convenience. It's about them. It's never about what they truly believe. It's about being in power. That's what's so sickening about this entire deal. That's why, remember, I think we discussed this. It was up in Tally a year ago or so. I told you, I want these non-politically affiliated positions. I want them gone, because I want everyone to know who the R candidate is and who the D candidate is. And now, in our area, you know that Ds aren't going to win by and large, so they're going to fake it up and become Rs. And that is when that's when you should be relying on the RECs in the various counties to do it. But we know in Lee County, the REC is only about protecting the cabal. So therefore, we really never actually know who the real Republican is.
I totally agree. Well, Ford, I guess I want to wrap it up here. You got anything else going on, my friend?
Well, I can just tell you this. We're about 1 month from Election Day 2024, and I'm going to tell you things are trending in the right direction for Donald Trump, but I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to be rubbing a rabbit's foot the entire way, because, frankly, I don't know how we're going to do it with 4 years of Kamala Harris, because all she really is a phony who's more of the same, and we can't take any more of this.
I hear you. Well, to wrap the show up, I want to let everybody know that I am going to prison at the end of this month. So it's not what you think. I'm going to spend 4 days in a correctional facility with some inmates, and we're going to feed them, and we're going to talk with them, and you know, just have some fellowship with these gentlemen that are incarcerated. That being said, if you see the scrolling on the bottom is a Venmo and a Cash App or whatever to send money. If you want to donate, it's $10 per meal. For this, and we're going to be feeding about 30 people. You can donate to those. Please put on the message "Love Meal" so we know where those proceeds go. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Ford, I hope everything goes well with you over there. And please stay in touch and keep us informed of what we need to know here in Southwest Florida, my friend.
You got it. Till next time, my friend.
Till next time, we love you, Florida. Love, peace, and gator grease. I'm Smokin Joe with Ford O'Connell. We'll see you next time.